So then.
So assume, but you don't have to push start yet because this we want probably a little 3 minutes of pre-roll for the live stream to get going.
Okay.
So you push as soon as it gives you the option to publish now. See the bottom. Oh, is it just published now? Is that how it does it now? Does it change?
Yeah, it normally just publishes it quickly. We should be live.
Okay, so if we are live.
I have a question for you.
Yes.
What is one of your favorite movies that has a bad Rotten Tomatoes score?
Oh God.
I think I have my two favorites, and one of them might have a good Rotten Tomatoes score.
Is the card formatted? Do we know?
Let me look. Oh, we changed the password for Twitter. What did we change it to?
I never changed it.
We didn't change it?
Maybe I did change it. I did change it.
What did you change it to? Well,
capital.
Well, don't say it out loud because we are currently live streaming.
The Titan one.
Oh.
Try that one.
I can also mute you.
Okay, then don't. So try this. Sorry. That one? With capital.
Mm-hmm. That seems to have worked.
Yeah.
Cool. This goes away. This goes here.
What'd you say?
Page.
Nothing.
Oh.
Just you are streaming. You've got
a few people.
All right.
Great. So we're getting ready to stream.
So for instance, my example is A Knight's Tale.
I saw you say that.
Yeah.
We need to tilt this light so it's not shining on the camera.
It's also not on.
We have to turn it on. But we also need the light to go a little more angled towards us so it doesn't overheat the camera.
What up, world? This is the stuff that the Patreon gets.
Yeah, this is exclusive.
That's our new at least thing, is that the weird 3-minute period where we talk about nonsense, like how A Knight's Tale is a wonderful movie, and my dad says hello.
Hello.
To the live stream that's currently going on right now. You have to come in. The camera's right there.
It's
wave.
Still going to be on the camera a little too much.
Yeah.
But the show's not live yet. We're live.
Can people see this emoji fan thing?
No one can see anything.
Because if they can't, we should move
it. Is this on camera or no?
I gotta
go.
Wait.
Isn't currently. No.
Okay,
see
cool.
You tomorrow.
I have a business question with you.
Yeah. This is not a place to discuss businessy things. That's all my dad talks about with me is business things.
Okay, live stream. We're getting ready to stream. We're getting close. We're excited. It's going to be a great episode.
You're a great episode.
Okay, let's just do a quality control check. Is everything set up? How do we feel?
Yep.
Audio's good?
Hello, my name is Alex Kessler, and I like to talk about baseball.
Yeah, for those of you who are in the live chat right now.
Let's put your microphone down some because it's blocking your whole face.
For those of you that
That's better.
Cool.
For those of you that are in the live chat right now, there's about a 27-second delay from the audio that we are able to monitor and what you're hearing. We are trying out labs.
These things.
Right here, they're on us. So we're trying to improve your live audio. When you're kind of hearing me talk about this in the live chat, let us know. What do you think? How does this sound to you?
The thumbnail is the back of Marshall's head.
Is it really?
Yeah, when you look at the live stream.
Impressive. I think probably my answer to your movie question, a movie with bad Rotten Tomatoes score that I love, is Nicolas Cage's film The Weatherman.
Okay, I know that movie.
From 2006, I believe, or 2005.
Okay.
It's one of my favorite movies, and people don't like it.
Hey, everyone. How do the lavs sound? Lav sound. By that, I mean the cool mics that I am now going to point at.
Yeah.
Not this one, this mic.
Oh my gosh, it is my head at the back. That sucks. I don't know why it took that as the image, but...
Refreshing the chat. There we go. It's
Great.
not happening. Let's turn this down. Let's turn it off just in case it's a feedback thing here.
So, okay. I think that's our pre-show, right?
So yours is The Weatherman with Nicolas Cage, and mine is A Knight's Tale. You know, like, think of the cast of The Knight's Tale. It's got Paul Bettany. It's got Heath Ledger, obviously.
It's got Richard Gere.
It's got Richard Gere. Who's
the girl?
No, the guy. Tudyk. Alan Tudyk.
Alan Tudyk. Who's the girl?
The girl is a no one. She did not. I mean, she's probably been in some stuff, but like when you IMDb her IMDb is not nearly as like the other
Impressive.
people.
It says Ravnica Allegiance set review is the name of the event, so I think let's change that.
Boop, 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 boop.
Oh,
Are you logged into our YouTube channel? You can change it through our thing. I got it.
Yeah, I think Alex can change it.
Please do that, because that's not what it shows on here. So.
Yeah. Marshall, do you want me to pull this table towards you so you have like somewhere to put your computer and like?
I'll hand it. I can grab it.
Cool.
Took that away from you.
I was singing a Randy Newman score there.
I am aware of what you were singing.
Are you?
Mm-hmm. Ba ba ba.
What was it? What's the movie?
Oh man, I know the movie. Ba ba ba.
I was talking about it last week. The baseball movie.
Oh, but maybe I don't know what it is.
Yeah, I don't think it is. Because when I asked you if you'd seen it, The Natural.
No.
You've never seen it.
No.
The Natural's so good.
You didn't ask me about that movie, but I also don't know what it is.
It's from 1984. It's directed by Barry Levinson. Stars
Before I was born.
Robert Redford and Glenn Close, and some other people.
Masters of Modern. Oh, it's still.
Robert
No,
Duvall.
that's the episode title. Where's our live feed? There we go. Found it. There we go.
So what we do is we live stream like this for 5 or 10 minutes, getting all set up. So you guys who are watching the live stream, you can
MMCast Live. Alternative best
win conditions.
alternative win cons
And
plus Electrodominance. Did I spell that correctly? There's no way I spelled that correctly.
it's not a word, so you can't spell check it.
This is terrible.
What's the word? Dominance.
Yeah, it's you spelled it right. You spelled it right.
N-E-N-C-E or
No,
A-N?
A-N-C.
I knew it.
Dominance.
It's like this.
That
is
was a
spelled-
trap for
this is
you,
spelled
and you
correctly.
failed. That was a test. No one, everyone, you heard it here. Ben doesn't know how to spell.
All right, producer in the room, Marshall James. How we doing? How's our setup? How's our angle? How's our?
It's all looking good.
Yeah?
I'm hearing we got a little bit of clipping on Kessler's mic. So I don't know if you want to maybe angle it a little bit away from here so you're not scratching it on your chest here.
Yeah, it seems like a good plan.
Better?
It's now under your collar. I try to put it on the actual collar so it's not rubbing on anything. There you go. I'll bet you that's perfect. We're going to find out in about 27 seconds.
Yo, my name is Alex. I'm here to say we're going to talk about Masters of Modern all day. Yeah, that rhymed. That worked out. Went there.
That rhymes and you know it does.
Yeah, but there was no words that I was using.
There are so many,
Oh, yeah.
there's so many
New
things.
iPhones with their no.
I don't know if the thing. Oh yeah, no, I
Yeah,
don't.
it does. It has headphones in the middle.
Oh, it has headphones in the middle.
So we're just,
Middle headphones,
the
y'all.
delay is slight. All right, guys, who in the chat is ready for us to stop D'ing around and get started?
What's your thoughts on the word y'all?
Oh, I say it a lot.
Yeah,
I think
it's
it's
grammatically correct.
And I think it's perfect because English lacks a second person collective.
Mm-hmm. Y'all, you all.
This is the reason we hired Marshall.
Coming from Alabama, I am a big fan of y'all.
It's a good one. It's a good one. All right.
When did you move
How
to Kentucky?
how ready are we to start?
When I was 6.
How ready are we to start?
I'm ready.
Yeah?
Born ready.
Born ready?
Born yesterday.
Okay.
Born on the 4th of July, which makes that yesterday. Today is July 5th, everybody.
1988 film directed by 1989 film directed by Oliver Stone.
You were wrong.
Tom Cruise's first
Didn't know how to
Oscar
spell
nomination.
Dominance. Didn't know when Tom Cruise was nominated for an Oscar.
Second consecutive Oliver Stone Best Director win, 89. He won for 2 Vietnam movies, 3 years apart. One of the rare occurrences where the Best Picture film did not award Best Director to that director.
How many Oscars does Stanley Kubrick have?
He has 1 Oscar,
4.
visual effects.
That was good.
Are you impressed?
Yeah, that was good. Because he didn't win any of the stuff that you normally know.
Mind blowing. It's for 2001: Space Odyssey.
It's like that movie had good special effects
Wow. All right, guys.
for the time.
I'm done showing off. Let's get to the show. We're looking for a last sign off from our producer here to get started. We're good? Okay.
Cool. Now comes the part where I go a clap, clap, and then I do a music. Welcome back to Masters of Modern. I am your host, Alex Kessler, here with my co-host, Ben Bateman.
What's up, everybody? What a crazy experience. It's like this feels like a professional podcast. We have a producer in the room. We started on time. Look at the camera angles are changing. The audio quality is good. I feel like our little podcast is all grown up.
We're 15 minutes late.
Fair. That's fair. That's fair. I'm not gonna argue with you on that one. I'm still happy to be here. That's not changed.
That's true.
Yeah, there you go.
Were you unhappy to be here before?
No. Guys, it's the Masters of Modern
I guess
podcast.
that's why it hasn't changed.
Yeah, we talk modern on the show. This is the live stream. Alex Kessler, as he mentioned. I'm Ben Bateman. Marshall James.
I did this already.
I just wanted to, reroute the ship.
Trying to steal my moves.
Yeah, I like your moves. Marshall James is our new producer, and he's in the room. He's just a few feet away from us. Marshall, how you doing?
I'm doing great.
Awesome. You look great.
Well, coming from you, that means the world.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Your head was the
Thumbnail?
thumbnail for a hot second.
Well, enjoy the back of my head, Modern Masters viewers.
Yeah. People got only here for the sneak preview show on the live stream. Speaking of which, for those who don't know, we try to regularly live stream this show. We're aiming to do it at somewhere between 5 and 5:30 start times on Tuesdays now.
Yep.
Hence the professional producer-iness that Ben has been talking about so far this episode. To make sure we're doing it, or you're able to listen in, go to our YouTube channel. It's youtube.com/TheMMCast, and you can subscribe and like and favorite, and you can watch live streams. You'll get an alert, and then we'll also share out the live stream when we're on Twitter or Facebook to all of our groups and stuff. To follow us on Twitter, we are at TheMMCast. I am at Kess Wiley.
You guys can find me at Ben Bateman Media, and actually our podcast has a Twitter at the MMCast, which is rapidly approaching
Did I not say that?
5,000 Twitter. Oh, did you? I thought you said you are Kess Wiley. I was listening intently. He was right.
Oh, I missed the MMCast? That's embarrassing. I corrected you? Wow. Okay, well, will you talk and go over what we're going to be talking about today while I share this on all the
That's
internets?
great. So, yes, guys, that's where you can follow us. Please like, subscribe to this YouTube channel if you are streaming live, if you're watching the video of this. This is episode 201. There was some wonkiness as far as the actual episode numbers, as we did like a 2-part set review and stuff like that. But this technically, officially to us, is episode 201.
Well, yeah, so if you look on our collective.company website, it says 203 for this episode, and last week was 202, and we said it was 200. It's because we did bonus episodes early or middle on in the career.
Yeah.
And the way iTunes works is you don't get bonus episodes.
So a couple things in case you missed last week and you're tuning in for the first time here. Alex and I are now into the 300s, 200 to 300 episodes of the show, and we're very excited about the future because we wanted to make some improvements. So one of them is, you'll notice there's card images on the screen here. The video, we had to buy a new Zoom recorder to improve our audio. The old one was getting kind of faulty. Yeah, we were kind of upgrading the set, and that's going to continue happening as we go. So keep up to date there, and as he mentioned a second ago, and I mentioned, like, subscribe to the YouTube channel. It's one of the most helpful things you guys can possibly do. We're almost at 3,000 subscribers, which is really cool. And yeah, we have a sweet episode coming up today on the show. We're going to be talking a little bit about the Mythic Championships, a new Modern product that has been teased to be coming out in February with maybe, we think, possibly some new exclusive Modern cards. We are going to be talking about some brand new Ravnica Allegiance cards that are affecting Modern. And then finally, having an entire discussion about some of the alternative ways you can be winning in Modern outside of the A-list deck archetypes, some alt win conditions that Alex and I have a lot of faith in, plus some Electrodominance talk because Electrodominance is dope.
He says faith. That's a strong word.
So that is today's itinerary. And I think we should kind of just get into it because, shout outs are what they are. So first and foremost, Magic news.
Did it.
It was announced in the last week that the 64 players going to the $1 Million Magic Invitational, which is an invite-only event with 64 players. I'm right about that, right? It is 64?
Yes.
Yeah, 64 players for $1 million. First place is going to win $250,000. A Magic event where you can win $250K, guys. Unheard of, crazy. Obviously, Wizards competing heavily in the esports world with a purse like that, starting to really put their foot in the ring. The last 8 players, it was announced, are going to be qualified players who are grinding February 1st to February 28th on Magic Arena. That is how you qualify. So you have to grind an arena, be one of the top ranked players. If you are one of the top 8 ranked players, you'll join the other 56 invite-only players, which are primarily the Magic Pro League, as well as some exclusively invited other personalities, streamers, etc. Alex, what do you think about this? It's like a pretty crazy amount of money to be able to win playing Magic.
I mean, yes. I've kind of been emotionally ready for that since they made kind of the financial announcements late last year, or I guess middle of last year. And the thing that's exciting is a little bit more of a breakdown of how at least this invitational will work. Now, I do believe, and Wizards is now kind of given the messaging because there was a lot of worry, especially this plus the GP no text coverage anymore announcement happening
Right,
coincided
right.
of like what's going on with the Pro Tour and how do we qualify for everything. I do think we'll still have classic Pro Tours that will also have prizes around this size, but they're adding 2 invitationals that are meant to be more of an arena-focused event style. And I think that the ranking system of 8 players on Arena is going to be a very fascinating moment and of the end of that week. So like the end of the period where you get locked in to go to this, there's going to be an hour where you just have to be jamming as many games as you possibly can and try and win all of them because your ELO ranking is going to live update as it's going.
Right.
And like the difference between 8th and 9th places is going to be real tight. And I am equal parts worried and excited to see how that moment happens.
And just like any sport, the people that are on the edge that don't quite make it are going to be totally crushed, disappointed. Obviously, the difference is that if it's tennis or some other thing, you're qualifying, you have usually a qualifying event, like a single event, that if you place high enough in that event, you'll get the qualification versus an arbitrary number of games you're jamming and having to do really well in all of to keep your ranking high. And that's going to be the part of it that's the mad dash kind of, that's going to be unfortunate. But nonetheless, it's such a step forward in our community that I can't say anything but positive things about it. I mean, honestly, when I read that you could qualify by just grinding on Arena, it made me want to go and start grinding on Arena that second. Like, it really did. I got that feeling of like, oh, this is so cool. I can go do this. And that's a good thing.
What are you doing right here?
I didn't start grinding.
You could win $250,000.
I would have to spend every moment of my life.
Yes, that is what people are doing currently. I think that's like the unhealthy part of the whole situation is that like to do it, you probably, there's going to be 300 people that are going to really try and only 8 of them get that. And it's a month-long qualifying period.
Right.
And to go through the effort to accomplish that seems possibly unsustainable in the long run. And I'm interested to see, that's kind of what I'm talking about is the negative side of this.
And it's just one event. I mean, the bottom line is there's still going to be, they will still have qualification-based events. That'll still happen. And that's always the dream of a Magic player is you get into a big event by qualifying through some other means, and that'll still happen. So, the begs the question though, with so much focus being put on Arena, we've asked before, what of Paper Magic? What's going to happen to Modern? And that was proposed to someone on an interview. I know the professor was in it. This was a live stream happening last week. We have a link to the article here, but the actual personalities involved, it's somebody at Wizards whose name's not coming to me right now. But basically the question was asked, what is going to happen to Modern? Does all this focus right now on digital Magic mean that Modern is going to go by the wayside? And the answer was absolutely not. Modern is being supported, it will stick around. So much so that this person in this interview said, keep your eyes out in February for an exclusive Modern product. I don't think he actually said those words, but that's what was indicated. Mm-hmm. And my question to you is, what the heck is that product?
So it could be a few things. They have stated there are no longer going to be master sets. And, literally Gavin Verhey said on the podcast last week, did a State of the Union type of breakdown of the state of, Magic product design today. That's what was on the mothership today. And even in that, he said, master sets are retired. Now, with that in mind, he also went on kind of all the other products that have been successful. The new kind of intro decks have been successful. The challenger decks that we did an entire episode on talking about what modern challenger decks can look like, looking at kind of what the event deck was, and then what these challenger decks ended up being for standard and what deck types. And I think Titan Shift was one of the decks we came up with, and there's a few other ones that we talked about.
You're looking for stuff that you could do at a sustainable price.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah, build a deck that isn't maybe tier A, but could be like a tier B version of that list.
Because what can you charge as Wizards? $50? $100?
I think you can charge $100.
You can charge $99.99.
Maybe a little bit more. Yeah. And then the back end of that is master sets are done, but themed draft specific drafting sets are not. We had Battle Bond last year. We had Unstable the year before that. I'm so glad I'm getting Unstable right and not calling it Unglued anymore.
I'm impressed.
Big win for me.
It's like a sage of the palace is what you've just done.
It was Sage Rhino. He sages around, all right? Casting spells, draining people for 3 life. Lightning Helix. Back to what we were talking about. But with that in mind, it's very possible we're getting a limited, focused modern set, kind of taking what the modern master sets were doing beforehand, but focusing it on that. Now, the really exciting question I have is the most successful product so far in the world of new product they've come out with outside of their standard releases are
Commander.
stuff with new cards. Or Commander is the
Commander
primary
sets have
thing.
been really
but
successful,
Commander,
right?
Conspiracy, Battle Bond, Unstable, all of these have one thing in common, and that is they have cards that are not standard legal cards being printed.
And on the whole, those cards, and granted, like sometimes we talk about the format Highlander Roulette and like how exciting it is to get to play with brand new cards. A lot of those cards are some of the most exciting things when you're dealing with Commander decks and you're dealing with things that are a little bit wider and they're not as like focused type competitive.
Right.
Because anything from like Spellseeker is a great example of a card that like I love that card. What a cool card to have printed. Or when they did Recruiter of the Guard in Conspiracy 1, like. It completes that kind of cycle that you had with Imperial Recruiter. Like that's a really cool thing to print.
Cycle.
Well, I mean, they just did the other half.
We now have white, red, and blue, actually.
Because Spellseeker is the blue one?
Yeah, so we could get,
that's a good point.
It could be an unfinished cycle. We just need
A
two more.
3-drop green and a 3-drop black tutor.
Yeah.
So green gets you instant or sorcery, converted mana cost 2 or less, or that's what blue gets you. And the others are power and toughness. So what would green? It would have to. It's weird that green wouldn't get you a creature. The other two have already dealt with.
Land, any land, puts into play.
You could think about Fierce Empath, which already exists.
Fierce Empath is six or more.
6 or more.
True.
I
Well,
think
that's top end. I mean, then there's Treasure Mage for blue. So I think that would be actually. I think it's enchantment.
Treasure Mage, but you already have Spellseeker, and Spellseeker references a denomination of 2.
And there's
So
Trinket, Treasure, and Trophy Mage.
yeah,
No. But
its own cycle.
those are its own thing. I'm saying for green, finding an enchantment for 2 or less, that doesn't exist.
And green searching out an enchantment would
It's
be
totally fine. It's on color
flavorful.
foil.
Yeah,
it's color pie. And then
they made a green, white
and then
enchantment
black is
recently.
anything you lose life.
You lose 2 life.
Yeah.
3 mana, a 3 mana creature,
That
demonic
vampire
tutor,
tutors?
a vamp tutor, puts it on top.
Yeah. I think it's fine.
I'm okay with that. Seems powerful, but it seems.
Marshall's terrified.
No, I think if it's a 1/1 for 3 that you lose 2, it puts it on top of your library.
Well, it has to be 2 or less. It still has the costing restriction.
CMC 2 or less.
Yeah.
Non-land card, converted mana
Yeah.
cost 2 or less. Okay, I'm on board.
Yeah. Cool.
Sick.
All
Gavin,
right.
I hope you're listening.
So beyond that,
Yeah, you were talking about basically one thing that's in common with all these sets is that they introduce new cards.
new cards into those sets, and I think that that's something the modern community has talked about forever. Of can you print cards that aren't in standard into modern directly? Can we get a Force of Will reprint into it? Can we get Counterspell directly put into it? Are there cards that are too powerful for standard by an inch? And Counterspell has been in standard sets. They've talked about how they were close to getting Counterspell into standard over the last 3 years. And it just is too powerful enough, which means it's probably power level fine or neutral in modern.
What was the last standard printing of Counterspell? Was it in Mercadian Masks?
7th edition.
7th edition was the last
I have a
standard
foil one,
print.
signed by Richard Garfield.
You have a 7th edition foil Counterspell? That's so sick.
It's on my top 4 cards that I have that are favorites.
Because it's like a black border foil.
Time stop with no reminder text, 10th edition time stop.
Sweet.
Just you end the turn foil.
Yeah.
That one's good too.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah,
So I think then, so talking about could that happen in modern?
So I think my question is, do you think it's going to be a challenger style deck? Like, or is it? There's 3 successful models. There's the
Yep.
challenger style tournament ready decks. There's the commander style decks that are kind of just challenger decks. They're similar, and then there's limited formats. Right. So far, those are kind of the most successful extension products that they've released. Which one of those do you feel like is most likely a benefit to modern players?
So if it's specifically a modern product, which is what I think it is, you can't make it a modern draft like greatest hits because that's just making modern masters again.
Correct.
So you can't do that. I think the challenger decks are a cool idea. But the thing about the challenger decks is that if you're introducing new cards, it makes them kind of a weirdly unfair thing because they're introducing a product that's not available in any other way than to buy a $100 or $150 deck to get those specific cards. Now, if that's the only place they're available, like a $100 or $150 product.
And there's 2 tiers to this. There's printing cards that are now legal in modern that had existed before that.
So you're saying like if you put a single Force of Will into a challenger deck,
it's now legal in modern.
and now from Eternal Masters or wherever it's from, Eternal Masters, I think.
It was the last time it was printed.
That now and the old ones become, but like a card that's already $75.
Well, it doesn't have to be Force of Will. Like that's an extreme example. Like Counterspell is a great example, or
like
Worldly
Daze.
Tutor, or
Daze
Daze.
is the one that we've talked about the most.
Yeah.
That I think is the most clever. That I would I like the way that the interplay of Shocklands and Days interact in Modern. I think that that's
Sure.
pretty
And I don't
strong.
think they start with Days. I think there's a ton of safer cards they can just add into Modern. I think something like Days would be an interesting option, but like, you know.
Flusterstorm.
Right. Flusterstorm's
one
a
that's
great
needed
one.
to reprint.
And so you have these. That's step one, because then it's not unfair. Then it's just like, oh, these cards are legal and I can get them out of this Challenger deck. The other option is in limited format, where then they can, I don't think you can print new cards into a Challenger style deck that are legal in Modern for what you described. Then it's a tournament staple card.
And it becomes too hard to get.
You're right. I think.
It becomes Scavenging Ooze, what Scavenging Ooze was in Legacy when it was just a commander
True Name
card.
Nemesis is the correct
And
one.
both
where-
of them, those are like $30, $40 creatures that immediately are like printed as, you know, a couple $20 bills.
Right, because you had to buy that box set, which was about $30. Whatever the cost of the actual box is the cost of one of those cards at that point.
So I think at the end
So I
of the
think it's a
day-
limited set with new. I think it's a $4.99 or $3.99 limited set. Or how much was unstable for a pack, Marshall?
I think it was just $4.
Yeah, so $3.99 pack that has either reprints. I think it is new cards that are in Modern,
Yeah, I think
or Challenger decks with reprints.
here's the problem. If it's a limited set like a Battle Bond, right? Let's just say it's a limited set like a Battle Bond. So right now, out of Battle Bond, what is the most sought after tournament card from Battle Bond that was brand new? Because I know you reprinted True Name in that set, and you had, I think, Exploration you got a reprint in that set. You had like a Doubling Season reprint in that set maybe. But I'm trying to think, what is there a card printed in Battle Bond that was brand new that became a legacy staple, like you know, your Arena Rector kind of card? Did they swing for the fences and get one?
So Battle Bond is a weird space for me because I have never drafted it.
I'm just trying to think of, or Conspiracy being the same one. Is like
Conspiracy I can talk to a little bit better.
Dak Faden was the first card printed that became a vintage card.
Out of
for one
those guys,
right?
yeah.
And until Dak Faden got the reprint, Dak Faden got pretty expensive, right?
Regular Dak Faden didn't go over like a normal
$20 or
mythic
something?
limited in like a small set probably, so like $20 to $50. Foils were like $800.
I remember that.
So that's a different conversation, but I think that's always going to be a
But
different
that's not for
conversation.
gameplay. That's for collectability. So,
Yeah.
so I think like the reality is, if you're to print some sort of limited draft environment that is the cards in this draft environment are Modern legal, if that's what happens, the only thing I would caution against is making a mythic rare that's a tournament staple that you know is going to be of a power level that is a 4 of index. If you make it a mythic and a limited run limited set, limited oriented set, I think you're in trouble. I think if you make like a really strong uncommon sideboard card, if you make
if they're doing it, if they're pulling the Band-Aid off on printing new cards directly in the Modern that were invented specifically for Modern that didn't exist beforehand, it's everywhere. You can't do that without a high ASFAN. When, for people who don't know, ASFAN is the like it's when you open a pack, how often does this type of card show up? This is the biggest thing they've done for Modern since Modern Masters 1.
Yeah.
Or since this podcast started. And so with that in mind, they're not going to just be like, oh, there's 2 cards added. It's going to be a little bit bigger than that. Now, if it's reprinting them, yeah, I think you do a library. I think there'll be a mythic. I think there'll be a few mythics maybe. I think there'll maybe be a cycle of planeswalkers that are like printed, or, you know, my guess is Kaya Ghost Assassin gets printed into that set because she's dope. She's the face of a current standard set.
she's kind of right on the edge of like Modern playable.
She's never going to be too good for the format, but she's going to be cool. People will play her
like that
or
card.
try to play her. Like, you know,
I
that's
agree.
the kind of stuff that I think is interesting to see. And I think if they're going to do it, they're going to do it. If they're just going to tip their foot in the water, then I think it's like maybe one high profile mythic.
I think they also could take
Or a cycle.
They could take some of the commander cards that are sweet that people like that are not Modern legal, and they could reprint them into the draft environment so that you could now play a few of those cards in Modern.
Right, and I think there's something safe about that as well, because at least all of the cards that have existed before have been tested by the gauntlet of Legacy, and there's a ton of them that haven't even seen close to seeing play. Like, I think printing 2 name Nemesis in the Modern is dumb, but like printing, I don't know, there's that one curse that you can put on an opponent and they take the black one. Or
I think it'd be cool to see like Duretti Ingenious Iconoclast printed into Modern. Like, I think that's a great example of a card where it's like, that's not that powerful. It's pretty cool. It's a fun card that does something that we're not used to.
I think I'm pretty confident that other than maybe Dak Faden, and I think even Dak Faden would maybe be fine.
He might be,
any non-standard legal Planeswalker they've ever printed is probably fine to put into Modern.
Yeah, I mean, there's
Duretti original is probably the most dangerous.
Yeah, I think where you get into trouble is if you start reprinting any of the commander creatures? Because I think a lot of those
no.
way
Specifically
powerful.
planeswalkers. Yeah. No, the creature. There's a ton of commander cards I would never put into modern. That seems dumb.
I think some could be sweet.
Sure. I'm not saying make all of commander products legal, but I think like.
How would you feel about Brea being legal in modern?
I think that's problematic. Probably.
Just like does too many cool things.
It's like
it's a 4-drop. It's a 4-color 4-drop.
There are things that make it not too good, but I think it like. That's a card that is on the edge of this could be the most powerful 4-drop ever printed in the format. Why? And then maybe not do that.
Yeah. I love that card. I would play the crap out of that card in Modern. All right, guys, moving on from the discussion of a new Modern product. We're definitely excited about it, so keep your eyes open for that. We are definitely hoping that if that gets announced, we will get a preview card to talk about.
Multiple people in the chat have mentioned also that right now is actually, for the Challenger side of things, a perfect time to print them because shocks are all around $5. So you can lean really heavy in the shocks, maybe... And then, no fetch lands, but like that's enough of a kind of a land mana base to be able to get away with like, especially something like Scapeshift.
I don't know if shocks are ever going to be worth anything ever again. They were already so on. They never really went back up. They got up to like one of them got up to like 17 maybe was the highest, like a Steam Vents, but a lot of them were like $9.
Yeah.
So like now with another printing into the ground, I feel like shocks are going to be under $10 forever.
Yeah, but there's a few now that are still already over 10.
Oh really?
Yeah, I think Steam Vents is still doing well because it's a good like. Right now, so much of their value is also associated with Standard. And with this new influx of players, there's a ton of new Arena people that are coming into the format that want to play Standard and don't have any shots.
They need to go get 4 of.
And they need to get 4 of. So, I mean, like right now, my biggest complaint with Arena, over any complaint across the board, is that getting lands takes rare slots. Like the fact that there are a ton of decks I can't play because I have to waste my rare wildcards. I have like 12 to 20 mythic wildcards and 0 gold rare ones because lands I have to buy them.
So you've played a good amount of Arena, and I would imagine some of the cards that are showing up in Arena
Segway.
that are like making an impact. I definitely feel like are making a bit of an impact in Modern. Like not all of the cards, but there's definitely some sweet ones. So like we read this article written by Emma Handy about sideboards and the difference in those decks and sideboards now versus the before and after the banning of KCI.
Less of a segue. Yeah.
And some of the cards that I want to talk about are cards that are showing up now in deck lists now that the format's a little different. So the banning of Krark-Clan Ironworks a few weeks ago has definitely opened up the format.
Right.
And specifically, let's start talking about this mono red deck. The mono red decks are playing 2 different Ravnica Allegiance cards as 4-ofs. And this is pretty massive. We're seeing Skewer the Critics and Light Up the Stage. Have you played either of these in Arena?
Not Arena. I haven't played Arena since Allegiance came out. I've been
it.
playing Kingdom Hearts and Resident Evil 2.
And
But
Clash Royale.
no, Brawl Stars.
You're playing Brawl Stars now?
I'm on both.
Fair.
On the Supercell train. But back to Magic conversation. I've been paying attention to it, and obviously what's really interesting about it is that how those 2 cards can lower the curve of those burn decks so that not only can they play less lands, but even, what's it called, is becoming bad. Eidolon of Rebel. Yeah, that was a good.
You can shave down to like 18 lands, 18, 19 lands in burn because you are now playing 2 more 1-drops. And those burn decks, often the way that you'll beat those decks, if they get a good start on you, is their hand will just have a glut of 2-drops. Like it's not, if they stall out on 3 lands or something like that, it's just not that convenient for them to go through 2-drop after 2-drop against you. And so the fact that now you've got, and I remember when we were in Hong Kong talking about as these spoilers were coming out, I definitely pointed out to you Light Up the Stage. That was a card that I was like, this is crazy. And you were like, why? And I was like, I'll tell you exactly why. It's because you get to the end of next turn, which means even if you hit 2 lands.
Well, but I recognize that at the time, but sure, yeah, continue.
Well, no, because it's weirdly worded. It's a surprising wording on that card.
Sure.
That you can exile 2. So for those of you that don't know what it is, it's going to be up on the screen, but it's a card for red 2. It's a sorcery. Exile the top 2 cards of your library until the end of your next turn. You may play those cards. For Spectacle, you can play it for 1 red if you've dealt damage to your opponent this turn, which means you Lightning Bolt your opponent for 1 red, you play the card, it exiles the top 2. If you hit Mountain, you play a Mountain this turn, and you play a Mountain next turn. That's the worst case scenario. You just clear 2 lands and play them both. You almost can't lose when you play this card. Like, it's so good. This is one of the best red draw spells probably ever printed. Faithless Looting is the best red draw spell ever printed, right?
Yeah.
This is number 2?
Time will tell.
I mean, it's really good.
It's really good.
Yeah. So that's the first card, and you're seeing that show up as a 4 of that kind of lowers the curve in these red decks. The second card is Skewer the Critics, which is a little more simple. It's the same card. Now, is Skewer the Critics an instant or sorcery? I don't have it in front of me.
Sorcery.
Okay, it's a sorcery speed lightning bolt, so it's more like a chain lightning. Same deal, red and 2, and for spectacle you can play it for 1 red. So now you have 4 more lightning bolts in the deck. And for that reason, you get to lower the curve of your deck drastically.
Well, yeah, and in the handy article, she kind of breaks down a little bit on this as well. But to summarize some of it, you really do have an option to, like, Burns. One of Burns' biggest weaknesses and one of the main ways it loses is just like, oh, my whole hand is 2 drops, and these both make it so that's just less likely to happen, and you have more kind of consistent play and be able to play 2 spells a turn and keep yourself above life from what your opponent's doing. And it just really helps you kind of win back. And then the draw spell, obviously, adding a draw spell to burn that is on theme with them is probably very good for them.
Yeah, like it's, I mean, because like here's what I can think of, like the whole like 1 for 2. So let's take Sign in Blood, Night's Whisper as good examples of cards that have a sort of a similar effect. They're 1 or 2 mana, they draw 2 cards, they kind of accelerate you. You're trading 1 for 2. The difference between this costing 1 mana and costing 2 mana is so significant. And Night's Whisper is already a good card. That card's already fringe playable. Like, I've played Night's Whisper in decks before. The fact that you're able to draw 2 cards for 1 red is specific and unique to this deck. The fact that you're always going to have red mana for it.
Right.
I'll be curious to see when this starts to show up in other decks that aren't just mono red, because I think it's a better card than.
I think mono red, the red white is not that far off from each other. I mean,
Yeah.
I think they both kind of can. Like, being red-white as far as the mana base go is not that much more difficult than just being mono-red, and it's just the reason, the argument is like, do you need it? And like, the red-white cards are more powerful, but by being mono-red, you have more life, and which one is a better payoff?
Yeah, so other cards that are starting to make an impact in this post-banning world, Electrodominance. You've got the Electrodominance deck that's playing, Living End and Ancestral Vision. That's a pretty cool deck, pretty cool card. I know when you and I talked about the format, trying to figure out what we thought the most powerful card was going to be. This was on definitely both of our lists, right?
From the very beginning, the fact that you can cast Ancestral Visions is like the first thing I noticed you can do with this card. It's not even that great of a play because it's Cathartic Reunion. You're discarding 2 cards to draw 3 cards. But Living End is obviously kind of the easiest deck for this to cycle into.
How do you feel about it when they do something like this? When they take a card that, because there was a red X instant, right? Was it Volcanic Geyser for the card? And that's an uncommon in most limited formats. Like, I've seen that printed a bunch of times. So when they take that card and they're just like, we're gonna just make the rare version that's way, way better. Like, it's all, that there's like an internal conversation that happens at Wizards where someone says, is this okay? Can we just push this? We want to make this a splashy card. We're gonna make it strictly better than this other one. Do you like when they do that sort of thing?
Yeah.
Just because it's pushing the power level, it's fun.
Especially when it's creative ways that does something different. Like, if this was like red X, do X damage times 2, I maybe wouldn't like it as much.
Yeah,
but like, red X, this is a cool thing you can do, and in standard, it's gonna probably not do very much. At worst, it's kind of like a Bloodbraid Elf or a face Hydra that like let you get double value off of those things. Or the Expertise is also a similar card space as this. And people have played, I've seen lists for this card that are playing some of the Expertise as your Electrodominance and As Foretold's 9, 10, 11, and 12.
Right, because this list that we were looking at here is playing 4 Electrodominance, 4 As Foretold, and
the black one, right? Because it's a board. Oh no, it's the blue.
Maybe it's just those 2.
No, just those 2. I've seen ones that are playing black that are playing for the black one because it's a board wipe. -3/-3 to all creatures. So it's like a card that is good against bad matchups, and then a card that's good in this situation.
Yeah, Sram's Expertise.
Sram's Expertise. No. Sram's is you get 3/1.
Yeah, Heaney's. There you go. Yeah, Heaney's Expertise, the black one. Yeah.
Someone played Kari Zeb's Expertise, the red one, because it only costs 3.
I have played all of the Expertises because I took an Expertise deck to a GP once.
Yeah, there you go. So this is the better card for that than probably those.
For sure.
So yeah, and like the things that really being paying attention to because like right now the easiest one to go through, because this deck has already been proven to be good in the past, has won a GP before, I believe, is the Living End version. And that one, what this does is allows you to kind of play, instead of playing a weird cascade game plan that limits what kind of cards you can cast, with As Foretold and this card, you're able to just play good cards now. Because like all the counter spells you want, any removal spells you want, and like blue-red with what was the set with the cycling cards, the Egyptian themed one?
Amonkhet.
Amonkhet coming out. They added a bunch of really powerful blue and red cycle cards that before you had to be in black or green and use some of the ones from Shards of Valara block. Now with the fact that you get these blue ones, and some of them are just good cards on their own. So that Phoenix that just is like a 4/4 for 4 that scries every turn. Like I would take that over any. Like that's a card that I would just play.
That card's sweet.
It doesn't do that exactly. It's every time you cycle.
You're talking about the 4/4 for 4?
Yeah.
You scry at the beginning of your turn. It's an opening hand. That card.
No.
You're talking about the Curator of Mysteries.
You 1 blue, you cycle it.
Yeah,
Curator of Mysteries. What does it do?
I think it's like 1 blue for.
It has 1 blue to cycle it, and has whenever you cycle or discard a card, scry 1.
Yeah, whenever you cycle or discard a card, scry 1. It cycles for 1 blue, and it's a 4/4 Flying Sphinx for 4. Any thoughts in the chat on cards that they're seeing affect Modern that they want to talk about?
Yeah.
Somebody asked, what do you guys think of the new pod list under Vanifar? They're both 4-color lists and teamer lists. Would love to hear Alex talk about it since he loves pod so much.
Who was the commenter who said
that? Was Bob Loeb.
Bob Loeb has a question about Vanifar, Prime Speaker Vanifar. Alex, how do you feel about it? Like, we talked a lot about this card when we saw the preview again. We were in Hong Kong together. The viability.
Oh, the pod one, yeah.
The viability of a pod deck in Modern right now.
I think it takes time. I think like Birthing Pod was the best deck in Modern from the beginning of Modern, but took 2 years for anyone to actually figure it out because getting the list right and getting it working and getting good at it, like it's such a hard deck to play correctly because you really need to know every single card in your deck, exactly what your opponent is doing. Every card, like it's such a deep card and dive to get into, and this card is easier to get rid of. It is less fast than Pod is, but it also, on the same time, is a creature, so there's more cute things you can do with it. So, will this show up as a deck in Modern? Absolutely. How long it's going to take? Give me, I'll say, like a year. By the end of this year, we'll start seeing some Vanifar decks, and maybe way earlier is possible.
I think probably earlier. It's a pretty unique effect.
Sure.
That would be my guess.
It's not a unique effect. There's at least one other card that does it.
Yeah, it's just banned.
Yeah.
Another card that people are playing with right now is Deputy of Detention. Deputy of Detention is one of them, and another one.
It's not a human though, right? Or it is a human? It's a thank God.
Yeah, and
Can
then
we just erase the human creature type?
Well, and then you have also what's her name,
Livana.
Lavinia, yeah, the new bear.
Yep.
Yeah, so I mean, those are cards that are starting to show up at least in lists a little bit.
And other cards that on the chat that people ask, someone wanted to know if Dovin has any legs. So the new Planeswalker, I love that card.
I haven't seen it show up.
I have not seen it show up anywhere, but also right now, this is the worst time to play control decks. Like, my favorite story of all PTQ world is that I was getting really good finishes playing blue-white control with like a weird brew that had Teleria West and Jason it, and was getting like cycling through engineered explosives with Academy Ruins.
Yeah.
And then was playing 4 Wall of Omens in Bloodbraid Elf Junt era, the first time it was good. And was getting, generally in top 20s at PTQs for that season, and then it got banned, and immediately I couldn't win a game because control decks want to know what the format's going to look like, and we're walking into a format that literally can be different every day. And right now, the big thing is that people's sideboards are now so much different than they were before KCI was banned.
Yeah.
That like this week Dredge could be good, and then the following week Dredge will be bad because people are playing Artifact Hate. We don't know what the best strategy to be hating on is right now.
The good players had so much peripheral Artifact Hate packed into their boards. It was so focused because the hardest deck to interact with a good player was Kirkland Ironworks.
Right.
It was so good. So now people are able to spread their sideboards back out. And because of that, you're able to kind of play these somewhat non-interactive strategies that are very streamlined.
But at the same time, like, the reason KCI was what it was in the format is it made decks bad. And those decks are now no longer bad in the format because there's no longer this big bad that hated it out. So now the format is much more diverse, which puts control in its worst position, even though it had a bad KCI matchup before. And then on top of that, like, if I'm a control deck, I want to know, Dredge is 10% of the metagame.
Yeah.
If there was a Modern GP next weekend and I was attending it, I wouldn't know how good Dredge is good. Like, I don't know what the dominance of Dredge is. I would play mono Affinity all day long if I could, because everyone's gonna be like, KCI's done. I don't need 12 things of graveyard Artifact Hate. I'm gonna be like, well, here's my
Hardened Scales deck or something like that.
Flying Ornithopter with 30 counters on it, and you don't have Ancient Grudges anymore, so good game.
Any other cards people wanted to talk about?
Wilderness Reclamation.
People are making comments about Wilderness Reclamation. This is a card that strikes me as an Alex Kessler card. This feels like a card you would like.
You want tap, and then you can't do anything because you have Cryptic Command open.
Yeah, it is expensive, but I mean the fact that you just sorcery speed resolve it.
It's free. Can't be more expensive. Can't be cheaper than that.
And it's also not a creature, which makes it harder for people to interact with it unless they have a counterspell.
I mean, like, look at Teferi, right? Like, Teferi was a 5 mana card, so that is expensive. But because it lets you untap 2 lands, it's really a 3 mana card that also plays in a way that makes it so counter magic is good. So Reclamation, like, I would love to be looking at playing a Taking Turns deck right now in Modern, like a blue-green where you're playing this card as a way to A, ramp into some of your more expensive Taking Turns cards, because there are expensive ones, and B, being able to just like mono Cryptic Command and douse, what's the, not replicate, dowsing blue, and then you can tap blue as many times as you want, and then you tap that many permanents.
Giga Drowse?
Giga Drowse. Like just mono Giga Drowsing and Cryptic Commanding my opponents out of the game. Like,
how does Wilderness Reclamation allow you to ramp into cards?
because it untaps at the end of your turn, so if you have an instant speed spell, you can tap your lands in response to Wilderness Reclamation. It lets you untap your lands, you can tap them again. That's how they're casting that take an extra turn thing on turn 4, or turn 5.
But they have to be instants.
They have to be instants.
Got
Or
it.
have flash.
Or have flash.
Jin can tax you on turn 5.
Sick. Okay, gotcha. So that's what people are doing. Okay, so that's interesting. So another card
So
that
it's like it's both a insane ramp spell for expensive blue spells or X
Yeah.
spells. What's the red wet? Or Sphinx's Revelation is a great example. Like being able to Sphinx's Rev for 5+ on
Yeah.
turn 5 is like, and then Cryptic
Really?
Command the turn before that. Like I don't know how you beat that.
It's really good.
I think you lose. I think that's, well, I know you beat it, but it involves like prized amalgams and Arclight Phoenixes and other free 4/4s.
Your favorite things to talk about. So
Sunrise.
other things that I want to talk about today on the show, talking about cards that are making an impact. We have speculated a little bit about the impact that Simic Ascendancy was going to have. We didn't necessarily think that that was going to be a tier 1 strategy or necessarily was going to be the biggest card, but I know we both had some interest in it after watching its actual viability at the pre-release weekend. Like people were playing it. It seemed to be very good.
The best alternate win condition cards, and we're going to talk about a lot of them right now, and almost none of them are true of this sentence, are cards that do a thing that's decent or good and then can accidentally also win you the game.
Win the game,
And
right.
I think Simic Ascendancy is the best of all of these cards at that. Because the card of green, put a bunch of +1/+1 counters on target creatures, and like if that is fine enough, or if you can play just like a deck that makes it worth doing, the second half of it is just like an alternative combo wheel that goes off.
It's like surprising if you get this permanent down early, a lot of the matchups in Modern, the way that having like just making your land drops, having mana open and creatures, how much this can screw with your opponents. Like everything from combat math to being able to respond to a lightning bolt to like getting around Anger of the Gods type of thing. Like it's just good. And it's an enchantment, so when they Wrath or something like that, you don't lose it. It just makes all your draws later in the game strong. So it's interesting. We're going to talk a little bit about alternate win conditions here and sort of the different good ones in Modern, or how you use the word good.
So we have a top 10 list, but we're not going to rank it. We're just going to go through 10 of them because they're all. There is a number 1. There is a, and that's it.
Well, yeah, we're gonna just
There's
talk
a number
about
1.
it.
There's only one here that has ever performed well.
And we're going to go through a lot of them. Before we get to that, though, I wanted to remind everybody here, we do have a Facebook group, and that Facebook group is moderated by a wonderful group of people.
Yeah, so after a long time, we finally hit around 5,000 people in the Facebook group, and we figured it was time. And there's some drama that happened last week that we wanted to make sure that we had a little bit more people that had eyes on what's going on in the group, so that it doesn't break down upon itself
Yeah.
and become an unhappy place for people to interact with. And so we've now added a bunch of new moderators. Obviously, me and Ben are there. Hagen Kirk is still there. He's been moderating for a long time. He also does big Modern data dumps every Monday. So if you're in the group, he'll like post a big list of how all of the Modern decks are doing right now, and like if you really like statistics, he's very helpful for that. And then Michael Grothy was added.
Guest host of the show.
Cast, frequent contributor just in general to Masters of Modern, and friend. And then we've added some more people: Aaron Scott, Austin Cook, and Soshi Hope. Shoshi Hope.
And you guys may have seen Shoshi at events before. She cosplays as Liliana.
Yep.
She's great.
Austin Cook is actually a werewolf.
Really?
Yeah. In like real life.
Is there an Austin Cook, the character that's a werewolf that I don't know?
No, I met him. Well, we met for the first time at Gen Con, and we hung out for a whole trip. And
And
we
you
played
played
werewolf the whole
werewolf?
time.
I said, you
Yeah.
werewolf.
It's a great game. If anyone wants to play werewolf at GPLA, I would absolutely love to host that.
And be sure to stay tuned in the Facebook group and our Twitter. We're talking about doing some sort of cool GPLA thing like we did the last one, and we want to make sure you guys all know about it. We'll decide ahead of time enough that you guys will have some time to make your plans and make sure you can be available. If so, last time we had like 24 people participate in this crazy chaos draft, and it was so much fun. Everybody had a great time. So
with KCI Band, is Spirits just the best deck in the format? No.
No, but Spirits is sweet.
I think that Spirits has a worse matchup against the world of super linear, not knowing what's going on format, and then you add that to the fact that Burn just got a lot better.
I don't think Spirits is going to get Burn. Burn's faster than Spirits.
Spirits
yeah.
a life game?
Not really.
Yeah, cool.
So let's talk about some alt win conditions. We talked Simic Ascendancy, though. We do have theories that card could go into some sort of Hardened Scales type of deck, and I think that there's possibly even some sort of just like a graft style deck you could play that's pretty cool. But that's not really the point. We want to talk about ones that we think you guys aren't paying attention to, because in a new modern format with a big banning, there are ways to try to go over the top and discover something that no one else is doing. And some of these cards, I'm not saying we have a great build for any of them, but some of these cards have a shot. So we're going to start with
this guy. So many shots.
Biovisionary.
Look at all the shots he has.
Oh, one of my favorites.
Isn't there a new card printed though that's maybe decent? Oh, there's a Simic card. There's a Simic clone and removal spell or something.
No, it's just a clone, and then it.
No. It front end is Stifle. You can stifle things.
It's like a 2-mana Stifle.
It's a 2-mana Stifle hybrid, blue, green,
back
green,
end is
and
a
then
4-mana
back end is a
clone,
clone.
3-mana clone.
Hey, that's 100% better than this deck was an hour ago.
I think actually just trying to manually copy your Biovisionary is not the way to win with this card. I've never felt that. I've always felt the best way to try to win with Biovisionary is to play a bunch of creatures and a Mirror Weave. That's what I had tried to do.
How much does Mirror Weave cost?
4, and it's an instant.
Okay.
So years ago, I had tried to build this deck. I tried to build some sort of Biovisionary Fairies hybrid because everything has flash. So you're just flashing in your Spellstutter Sprites and your Scion of Unas, and you can just win the game by beating down, Bitter Blossom or whatever, and then end of turn, or I guess, so clarify if this works for me. This trigger, so Biovisionary is green, blue, 1 for a 2/3 human wizard. At the beginning of your end step, if you control 4 or more creatures named Biovisionary, you win the game. So if you're to Mirror Weave and make all creatures on the battlefield into Biovisionaries.
If your opponent has... No, you
4,
don't get it. They don't get it.
Because active player?
It's the beginning of the end... Oh, of the end step, not your end step.
So if you play it, it resolves. Whose creatures become Biovisionary?
So yours get put on the stack first and then theirs, right? So they win?
Is that true?
From Mirror Weave?
Yeah.
If I have 4 Biovisionaries and you have 4 Biovisionaries, or Ben has 4 Biovisionaries and it's my turn and I put Biovisionary in the stack.
Player wins.
So they would win. So you would have to do it at the end of their turn.
Or remove at least one of their creatures so they have 3 or less.
Well, no, but that's assuming you would need to have another card. So I'm saying if you have 4 and they have 4, at the end of their turn, you would turn all creatures into Biovisionaries and you would win.
Someone is 10-0 against Burn against Spirits. Sorry, back to this.
That seems strong. That is true, correct? You would, if you Mirror Weave during their turn, at the end of their turn, you would win because they're active player.
I have no idea. Both of these cards are bad.
Okay. Well, that's always been the way that I assumed the coolest way to win with the Biovisionary was. The other way to do it would be some sort of Rite of Replication.
I think the problem with Biovisionary is that it's a 2/3 for 3 that doesn't do anything when you cast it.
Well, yeah, but it can win the game.
Doesn't do anything when you cast it.
Said Bateman about every card on this list.
You know what can win you the game? A Flying Man, a 1/1 for 1.
You really don't have any faith in Biovisionary? Okay, fine. We can move on.
I think on this list, it is in the top 5 cards to maybe win a game.
Do you know what creature
I
type
don't
it
know if
is?
that's true. It's a human wizard.
It's a wizard. Do you know that Modern has a wizard cycler called Vidalcan Aether Mage?
I'm going to move on with my life.
Instant speed.
You know what? It is also a wizard and is the best card on this list by such a wide margin. Is Laboratory Maniac. 2 of the blue. If you draw a card, well, if you were to lose to mill, you win.
Let's explain actually what this is because this one's
it's
important.
a 2/2 for 3. Your human wizard. If you would draw a card while your library has no cards in it, you win the game instead.
So the premise here is that Ad Nauseam is able to create a situation between Ad Nauseam and Phyrexian Unlife that you can draw your entire deck, have no cards in your library, and then through means of mana filtering and Simian Spirit Guides and things, you can cast Laboratory Maniac. And the problem with that though is you still have to let your opponent untap, right? You don't.
Why? You just draw a card. Just cause yourself to draw a card. It's not your upkeep.
It's not an upkeep
It's
trigger.
not a draw step.
So
it's
you
just if you
cast
draw
it.
a card after this is in play, you win. So you just
How
have
do
to,
you? So you have to have the mana to draw a card off a cantrip.
or you cast another. Yeah, there's like 8 ways the deck has to kind of make it happen.
And so this is something people actually do. This is an alternative winning condition.
Correct. And also like Dredge plays, I think one of these sometimes in the sideboard as ways to get around control mirrors or whatever. Like there's different versions of this card doing well, and there will be more because there are more ways. Like it's much easier to get all of the cards out of your graveyard and have this in play than other things that exist.
Have you ever lost to a laboratory man?
I've not actually.
In Modern, nor have I.
Every time I played against Ad Nauseam, they won with Lightning Storm, and
Yeah.
I still lose that deck
That's
when that
usually how I
happens.
lose
But
when I play against that deck. So
Lad Maniac is rare. Our friend Paul has tried. I play a lot of spot removal in my life. I'm a big fan of paths and lightning bolts, and normally those kill Laboratory Maniacs pretty good.
Fair.
Lab Maniacs of Excendency, we talked about. Mechanized Production. Blue 2, Aura Enchantment, enchant artifact you control. At the beginning of your upkeep, create a token that's a copy of the enchanted artifact. Then, if you control 8 or more artifacts with the same name as one another, you win the game. This has seen some play in Standard because you have the treasure token.